we're going to put together some delicious vegan cornbread. And it's going to be made with a few special ingredients. First of all, you're going to want gluten-free flour, and I've got that. We're going to need actually 2 cups of flour. We're going to also need some organic cornmeal, and we're going to need about a 1/2 cup of that. We're going to want 2 tablespoons of baking powder, and of course this recipe I'll post in the video. We're also going to need 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar that has been well shaken, because what we're going to do is that we're going to make our own buttermilk. And oh my goodness, this cornbread is going to be delicious. So I also need some almond milk, and this is unsweetened almond milk, so I'm going to give it a good shake as well. And I'm going to need 1.5 cups of almond milk. So I have a 2-cup measure here, and that is marked off already. So I'm going to add 1.5 cups, because this is going to need about 5 minutes. Going to need to sit. So there's our 1.5 cups of almond milk. I'm going to add in the apple cider vinegar. I'm going to need a couple of teaspoons. It doesn't have, the vinegar doesn't have to be so exact. So that's about 1 and 2. We're going to give it a good stir. And we're going to let this sit and make our vegan buttermilk. To our buttermilk, we're going to add in 1.5 cups of melted plant butter. Got that in. And we're going to give all of that a good stir. Now next, I'm going to add in 1.5 cups of cornmeal. That was 1 cup and a 1/2 cup of cornmeal. Now I'll get my whisk in just a minute to make sure that we stir it and mix everything well together. Now what I do want to do is to make sure that I work on our flour. So I need 2 cups, and this is a 2-cup measure of gluten-free flour. So I'm going to take my 1-cup measure and add into, put that in. All right, I'm going to get a knife, because we don't want to pack it. All right, so I'm going to take my knife and just spread it across. There we go. And we're going to add those 2 cups right here to our sifter. We're going to sift it, because I want this to be nice and light. I'm going to need 2 tablespoons of baking powder. That's 1, 2. And the good thing about sifting is that it will allow me to kind of mix this up easily. We also want in, for this particular recipe, we need salt. So we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon. And I'm going to add just a tad bit less, but I want the salt. I want the teaspoon in there. Now something got in there, so let me get that out. Okay, we've got our salt in. And I'm going to give all of this a good mix as we sift. Sift all of that together. And that's sifting into our mixture. And the reason for doing that too is that sometimes the flour will be a little clumpy. So just in case, we want to sift it so that if we have anything that ends up as a clump, and you can kind of see there's a little bit down there. So I'm going to take my hand and just kind of roll it around until everything goes through. Now, using our spoon, we're going to give all of this a good stir. There we go. You'll see all of this come together, and it's going to be the usual cornmeal, cornbread texture, which is very nice. Okay, we've got everything in. I'm going to remove all of this. I'll come back to you, get everything kind of wiped up, and then we'll be ready to get our cornbread, which we're going to make in muffin tins, into the tins. I forgot one thing from my mixture, and that is just a tad bit of sweetener. Now normally I would just use sugar and just add in the sugar, but today we're not going to do that. Today we're going to add a raw, unfiltered honey. Now I'm going to spray this just a little bit because I want that honey to come out easily. So 2/3. That's 1/3. This is a Southern Girls version. And that's 2/3. I'll get all of that out. And that came out so easily. Okay. Now let's whisk again. Now the good thing is that we are not using regular flour, because if we were using regular flour, we'd have to be very cautious about how much stirring and mixing that we do. But with our 1-to-1, it's not as much of an issue. Okay, we've got all of that mixed in. Okay, it's such a beautiful mixture. You can see the texture. Isn't that nice? It looks just like a regular cornbread, but it's not. All right, let me bring over I've sprayed our cupcake tins. I'm going to use my ice cream scoop, and this will help me make sure that they're all even. I am not going to overfill them. I'm going to need 1 scoop. Tastes good. Now the nice things about these is that if I have any extra, I can put them, actually bake them and put them into the freezer so that they're already ready. Now there's the first batch. I'm going to place them into a 350 oven and let them bake until they're done. And that means that I can stick a toothpick in the center and it will come out clean. I'll let you know how long it takes in my oven. Two. We're not basting a bit. Okay, we're done. We were able to get 3 out of this one. So we'll bake these when the others come out. Aren't they beautiful? I'm going to take them out and we'll test them with the toothpick. Aren't they pretty? Now I'm going to use a skewer and make sure it comes out clean. There we go. And do one more. Nice and clean. All right, I'm going to take these out and put them on a plate. Now let's see what this vegan cornbread looks like. First of all, here's the muffin. It's nice and warm, and in fact it's so warm that it's falling apart. There we go. Look at that nice texture. Oh my goodness. Now, I'm not going to add any additional butter because we've already added plant butter to it. It's good. I like it. And I think, you know, sometimes when you're eating vegan recipes, you find that there's just a little bit of something that's off. But I'm okay with this. It has less salt, no granulated sugar, and we used 1-to-1 flour. So I'm okay with this. The texture is great. Now, I'm going to save the rest of mine, get it ready for dinner, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful evening and prepare this vegan cornbread because it is delicious and the recipe is in the description box.